Hello, hello. Let me make sure that we're live. Hi, Captain Lee. Hi, Gail. Oh, let me go here. Hello, Bank. Okay. Oh, no, don't steal the... Sorry. So today, day 7 of James Craig's trial, and we're going to talk about pop music. No, let's talk about pop music. No, I don't know what's going on. We're going to talk about James Craig because his ex-cellmate is testifying. Okay. That he wanted the lead investigator killed. Talk about. Okay. This picture of him always looks so bizarre. But let's see. Talk about James Craig. Okay. So Arapahoe County, Colorado. His one former and one current inmate both shared a cell at different times with James Craig, the dentist accused of murdering his wife with the poison protein shakes. So they testified Wednesday that James Craig asked them to help cover his tracks and create false testimony and solicit others to kill investigators working on his case. So let's Wednesday morning, the defense attorneys were doing the cross-examination of Casey Bohannon. That's a former inmate in the Arapahoe County Jail who knew James Craig while they were both in custody in March of 2023. The defense attorney, Lisa Moses, questioned Bohannon's substance use before and during his time in jail. Excuse me. He was also asked if he told anybody about James Craig's alleged scheme, where Bohannon testified he was asked to plant forged evidence related to Angela Craig and suicide in and around the family's home. Additionally, she questioned him on his knowledge of the Craig case, but Bohannon said he didn't learn specifics about the case via the news. Moses pressed Bohannon, asking if he knew when he first contacted prosecutors in the summer of 2023 with these allegations that a probation violation was coming his way. He said, "I'm not 100% certain. I knew I wasn't doing what I should be." Still, he agreed with Moses that he knew the following day about the probation violation when he spoke with the Aurora Police Detective Bobby Olson. In the redirect examination, prosecutor asked Bohannon if he came forward with information about the Craig case to get some type of benefit from the prosecution, to which Bohannon replied, "Absolutely not," and said the information he was providing in court on Wednesday was the same information that he initially gave prosecutors in July of 2023 when he was out of jail and sent them an email. He testified that James Craig said he would rewrite what Angela Craig had written on a few pages from her journal regarding alleged suicidal ideations that were apparently misplaced. And he's going to write exactly like her. James Craig is going to write like Angela. Come on. Bohannon said James Craig told him about cameras in the house and the code to unlock his vehicle, and Bohannon was given a map of the Craig's home. Bohannon said he destroyed the map within minutes after it was given to him. He would later tell law enforcement about James Craig's alleged scheme. Bohannon was then excused. Prosecutor then called Michael Foti to the witness stand, a registered nurse who works at UC Health, University of Colorado Hospital, and an outpatient clinic connected to UCH. Foti has been registered nurse since 2016 and started his career in Pennsylvania before working as a travel nurse for 6 years in a lot of hospitals all over the country. Foti said he treated Angela Craig on March 15th, and he testified Angela's condition was very poor when he started treating her. And he said, and I quote, "There was a lot of chaos. Her status, medically speaking, she was brain dead. Foti said he took some blood draws at about 8:20 in the evening on March 15th. A blood sample from the time was previously testified about within the trial and showed cyanide levels in Angela Craig had more than doubled while she was hospitalized when compared to another sample taken at 11:50 a.m. that day. There was no cross from the defense, and Foti was excused from the stand. Then prosecutor Ryan Brackley called Nathaniel Harris to the stand. Harris is currently an inmate at the Denver County Jail and said he came to testify Wednesday at the request of his wife, who asked me to be here because of this situation. Harris testified that he has not signed a cooperation agreement with the district attorney's office. He told prosecutors he would not testify if he was still in custody, but his wife insisted because of a moral compass reason. Harris told the court that he knows James Craig because he was one of his cellmates in the Arapahoe County Jail back in November of 2024. He said he and James had conversations about his case and the charges he was facing. He told the court James Craig said he was there for allegedly murdering his wife, helping her commit suicide. Harris said James Craig told him in jail that his wife was suicidal and that he was ordering poisons to help her do that. And then the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office was stacking the case against him. Harris testified James Craig was interested in Harris's past in prison and reportedly told Harris he wanted to find someone to deal with the last person he tried to hire in the medical unit, who James Craig allegedly asked to fabricate things about his case. Harris said he told James Craig how his ex-wife had fabricated documents and photos in a past case of his. James said he was trying to find someone to fabricate stories that supported his conduct and pointed investigators in the other direction. James allegedly gave Harris a letter that was meant to be mailed to a woman he called his ex-wife, Kasani Konstantinidis. The letter was later discovered by law enforcement and detailed in later testimony. Kasani was upset with Harris about the letter and did not want to be involved. Harris also testified that James Craig spoke in detail about the Aurora police detective Bobby Olson, the lead detective investigator on this case. James Craig allegedly told Harris that Olson was out to get him and lying on him. Harris testified that James Craig wanted him to find someone who could kill Olson. Due to his past in prison, James Craig figured I knew where to find these people. He wanted me to source somebody out. And before things got out of hand, I told him I'd handle it. When asked what he meant by handle it, Harris testified that he was concerned James Craig would find someone who would. James Craig allegedly told Harris there was a blank check involved. James Craig also talked about a specific sheriff's deputy who was horrible to him. According to Harris, James Craig wanted him to take photographs of the deputy's son getting off the school bus for intimidation. When asked why Harris did not discuss what James Craig was allegedly saying, Harris replied saying, "Talking to other inmates about killing people really isn't on my agenda." James Craig reportedly told Harris his own son would have information about how to find Olson and the sheriff's deputy. Harris added that James Craig wanted a hit on Olson before the first trial started, which was previously scheduled for the end of 2024. In cross, defense attorney Ashley Witham began by asking Harris about his time behind bars, and Harris spent more than 10 years in prison for a past crime and agreed he knows how to conduct himself while incarcerated. And then Witham brought up a woman named Loretta, who Harris referred to as his wife. Harris confirmed that he and Loretta communicate via tablet while he is in jail, and begrudgingly agreed that the two of them have had an up-and-down relationship. Witham asked if Harris remembered telling Loretta that he had information he planned to use for his benefit. Harris claimed he did not remember saying that. Witham questioned Harris further, saying he must have known that information about someone charged with a crime would be valuable to law enforcement. Harris replied with a question: if it was valuable, why would I still be sitting in handcuffs? Harris testified that he did not know James Craig's case was considered high profile until they met. According to Harris, James Craig is who informed him about the notoriety of the case, and then Harris testified that James Craig followed him around like a puppy while they were in jail together. Harris admitted he did not care for James Craig and had his wife call the jail and request their cell be searched for the letter referenced earlier. That letter was kept within Harris's possessions in the cell, he said. Harris admitted he was offered something by prosecutors in exchange for testimony that he did not take. Harris continued to claim the offer didn't work for him and that he just learned of it at the beginning of July. Witham insinuated that Harris did not take the deal because he did not want his name connected to snitching, which he denied, and there was no redirect from the prosecution. Next witness was Sergeant Nicholas Hudson, called to the stand. Hudson worked at the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office and had been with the department for a little over 7 years. He is currently a sergeant assigned to the Court Services Station, and his responsibilities are transport coordination. Prior to his time at the Sheriff's Office, he was employed with the Colorado State Patrol. In November of 2024, Hudson told the court he was assigned to the jail where he worked the graveyard shift. On November 9th, 2024, he was on duty. He got a call from a woman named Loretta. She had a sweater. No. Who the prior witness described as his wife. Hudson and Loretta called about the sweater and concerning a letter that Harris claimed to receive from James Craig. Loretta believed it would be found within the cell they shared, and Hudson went to retrieve the letter. The sergeant testified he was concerned for Harris's safety and wanted to protect him from any kind of speculation that he was handing over a letter. So Hudson told the court he came up with a plan to search the cell under the guise that he was looking for illicit substances. That search happened November 10th, 2024, and the 11-page letter was found within Harris's possessions. The letter was in a legal envelope and addressed to an attorney, but Harris testified James Craig wanted him to mail it to his ex-wife. Hudson asked Harris for permission to take the letter and open it, since it appeared to be related to legal matters. The sergeant said if he had not asked Harris about the location of the letter, he would have likely missed it due to the way it was disguised. Hudson, prompted by prosecutors, read portions of the letter allegedly written by James to the jury. Some of those sections read in the courtroom are detailed. The letter ends with the signature, "Thank you in advance for making me and my kids the happiest people on earth, Jimmy Craig." And it says, "Hey, Cassie," that's Harris's ex-wife, "I know you don't know me and I don't know you. I would never normally be this trusting, but I have been unjustly accused of a truly horrible crime, thus fighting fire with fire to clear my name and return me to my kids. Favor I am asking of you. There will, of course, be a financial incentive, but I know you do not need my money, but it's worth it to me, so I'd like to offer $20,000 to each witness. I'd like for you to be one of the witnesses and your sister. After I pay you, you can pay the others in accordance to what you feel is appropriate. I can pay you once I'm out and my assets are unfrozen. My attorney is Harvey Steinberg, who I think you know, but I think it might be best if you went directly to the DA to execute this plan. First, someone in jail set me up. I wrote letters to my family and friends offering to pay them. Instead of sending them to my family and friends, he sent them to the DA in an effort to negotiate his own case. I also want to give you a lot of latitude in these stories. Nate has expressed tremendous confidence in you, and I would rather you do what seems natural to you instead of sticking rigidly to a plan I devised. Nate also said you go above and beyond with using Photoshop. These additional proofs may be necessary to effectively sell your story. You essentially have, within reason, a blank check here. I think this is a good time to share this with you. Several details about my wife, Angela. The letter that provided a phone number, a date of birth, an address, and a Facebook for the couple's joint account. Roll 1. This one is for you. You are a friend of Angie's. And how you met and how far back your friendship goes is up to you. You knew because Ange confided in you about the threat of taking her own life. The next part is crucial. The worst, dirtiest detective in the world is on my case. Her name is Bobby Olson. We have to discredit her. I need you to say that after Ange died, you reached out to APD to share some of the above details. You told her this whole story. When you finished, Detective Olson berated you, and she didn't believe you, accused you of lying, and told you to keep quiet. Obviously, you need to refuse to communicate with Olson. If no one will listen to you, you need to go to the media. Roll 2 for your sister, I hope. Also, go to the DA. Your sister used to visit the family history library Ange volunteered at. Often there was nobody there except your sister and Ange, and they became casual friends. If you're concerned about the DA linking you and your sister, you can use a fake name. Make sure Harvey can contact you both after your statements made it into the discovery, because I'm sure the DA is not going to call you as a witness. Harvey will need to call you as a defense witness. Rule 3. Someone who can say they were either there with your sister at the family library, or even better, if there's a third witness, can corroborate your story if your sister feels comfortable incorporating more of the details from your own story into her story, the better. Rule 4. Go to Harvey about this, not the DA. The person is either a friend of or somehow overheard Caitlin Romero, my former office manager. She's about 25 years old, plump, pretty face. Caitlin was recently heard bragging that she has been subpoenaed. It sounded like she fabricated evidence or testimony, something about the search history at work, something about how she ordered the cyanide that killed Ange. Caitlin said she did what she did because her bosses pushed her to do it. She said they gave her a huge financial incentive to help them. Harvey Steinberg, who's mentioned in the letter, was one of James Craig's former attorneys who withdrew from the case just before the initial trial was scheduled to begin in 2024. In cross-examination, defense attorney Witham questioned Hudson about the security measures throughout the Arapahoe County Jail, including what's recorded and kept as records for jail staff to review. You never pulled the text between Loretta and Harris prior to the search of the cell, or listened to the phone calls between the two before the search, Witham said. No, that's pretty far out of my scope, Hudson replied in part. Witham then asked if Hudson was taking Loretta at her word, to which Hudson replied, these findings speak for themselves. The defense attorney then asked Hudson if there was a property sheet, a form inmates can fill out so that their belongings can be released to family and friends in the envelopes that did not have Harris's name on it. This is someone else's property sheet found in Harris's possession, Witham asked. Correct, Hudson said. Let's see. Next one is they had Kasani, the wife of Nathaniel Harris, come up. She received that letter at home addressed to her from Jimmy. Kasani said she received the letter at home addressed to her from Jimmy. She said the return address was something like 90210, like Beverly Hills, California. She was on the phone with Bobby Olson, the lead detective of the case, with the Aurora Police Department when she pulled the letter out of her mailbox. She testified that she started to open the letter but then stopped after being told by Olson. Then Kasani testified that she did not know Angela or James Craig, and she had never met or spoken with either of them. She said she did not help James Craig with his case and never met with his attorney, Harvey Steinberg. She said she has no control over what Harris tells people in jail. She was then cross-examined by the defense, and she said she and Harris are still legally married but currently separated. She testified she has known Harris for 25 years and has a good sense of who he is. According to Kasani, Harris was struggling with drug addiction in 2024 and was in and out of jail. She later testified that Harris has a reputation for being untruthful. There was no redirect from the prosecution. Prosecution then called Carrie Haggiseth to the stand. Haggiseth is a mother and drives for Lyft. Haggiseth said she met James Craig in the fall of 2022. He messaged her on Seeking, a website initially created for sugar dating. Sugar dating. A couple of weeks later, the two met in person for the first time at the Bonefish Grill in Loveland. The two met roughly 4 times in person, according to Haggiseth. She testified that there was a sexual component to the relationship with James Craig, and she first thought he had been separated from his wife. After one meeting at a very nice restaurant in Greenwood Village, the two got into their own cars and met at a hotel not far away. Haggiseth said James provided money and resources to her. She testified that James Craig paid for meals when they got together and bought a $9,000 Honda Accord for her daughter and gave Haggiseth $100 for each of her children for Christmas. She also said James Craig helped pay for an attorney as Haggiseth was going through a separation at the time. The attorney's retainer was between $2,500 to $3,000, according to Haggiseth. Haggiseth then discussed a contract that James Craig wanted her daughter to sign related to the car. At the time, I believed it was he said it was to make my daughter feel responsible, Haggiseth said. The contract allegedly allowed expectations for Haggiseth's daughter in exchange for the vehicle, which included maintaining good grades. According to Haggiseth, she and James Craig wrote up the contract and signed the second page, but Haggiseth and her daughter did not sign it. Following discussions about the vehicle, the prosecution then began questioning Haggiseth about communications between her and Craig. Haggiseth testified that James Craig told her he was not happy in his marriage and he was trying to figure out how to get a divorce. Craig allegedly said that the financial separation for Angela was near impossible in his eyes. He also said it would make him completely broke and destitute, such as the situation that Haggiseth was in. One day the two were talking about the movie The Purge, in which there is one day when everyone can kill whoever they want without consequence. According to Haggiseth, James Craig said he would purge his wife if that were reality. He also allegedly told Haggiseth that he would be able to get away with murder, though he did not specifically mention his wife. Craig reportedly talked about just injecting somebody in the neck with a substance. Haggiseth and James Craig never mentioned that Angela was going to take her own life. Once the two got to know each other better, Haggiseth gave James Craig her real phone number instead of her using a burner phone. The prosecution then went over text messages reportedly exchanged between Haggiseth and James Craig. One message from James Craig to Haggiseth read, "Hey, so big problems. Ange found the Doubletree hotel receipt. Discovered the missing money I used to pay for Liv's car. I told her that we met on Seeking, but I was not sleeping with you. I just really wanted to help you out with your situation. I got you a hotel to stay in because you didn't have anywhere to sleep. I told her I bought your daughter the car and the hotel to get you out of a dangerous situation you were in. I'm going to have to go radio silent for a while, and if you do get a call, now you know what I told her." Haggiseth said she knew Angela Craig's name at the time and knew that James Craig was referring to his wife. She also said James Craig's note about them not sleeping together was not true. James Craig reportedly resent the message on January 9th, 2023. Haggiseth testified that she thought she saw it originally, but it took her a while to respond, so James Craig resent it. James Craig then sent the following message. "So, I've had to lay low, and I'm still need to keep doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not mad. I'm just doing some serious damage control over here. I'm so glad you're loving your attorney and doing well, though. I've been worried about you." Then another text exchange. James Craig says, "Good for you. I'm so sorry you're so far behind on everything. I wish I could help you. I'm seriously just at a loss. I don't see any way out for me. I'm kind of depressed about it." Carrie says, "Sweetheart, don't say that, please." And then she says, "I know the feeling, but you have so many reasons to live." James says, "I'm not happy, but can't get divorced right now. I'm not suicidal, just stuck." James also shared how he wished that he could send Haggiseth more money. Haggiseth testified that James Craig told her Angela Craig was sleuthing, making it harder for him to send funds. When asked if the extra money would have been helpful at this point in her life, Haggiseth responded yes. On January 14, 2023, James Craig texted Haggiseth, "I hope you know I'm not putting you off. I still want to support you in every way, including financially. I have something about the situation I'm in first." Haggiseth believed that James Craig was talking about his marriage. She said she gave James Craig the impression that she knew someone who could help him hide his assets overseas. On February 1st, 2023, James Craig messaged Haggiseth, "Do you know anyone who can help me with my problem down here? I can pay handsomely. I want to be with you." Haggiseth testified that she thought the problem was Angela Craig. Haggiseth replied, I think you should hit up a homeless person, meaning that you don't have much to lose, she testified. The next day, on February 2nd, James Craig replied, hitting up a homeless person actually sounds like the only choice right now. I made $66,000 in January, and I am desperate to share that with you and help you. I feel so trapped. On February 9th, James Craig messaged Haggiseth, sorry, I'm okay. Just really trying to put out a lot of fires at home. I'm okay, though. I just really can't get it together right now. I hope everything is going well, as can be expected for you. A few days later, on February 13th, he sent, oh, geez, babe, I so wish I could figure crap out over here. I can't believe solving little problems like this is so hard. It should not be this hard. I'm just so frustrated and stuck. The following message was from Haggiseth to James Craig on February 14th. Yeah, I know, you're used to it. You're strong, but this day is honestly killing me. I just want to be with you so bad, and I know that money doesn't solve problems, but it can exacerbate a lot of problems when there isn't any of it. I have had some really amazing, profitable months. I just can't get any money into your hands right now. It sucks, especially when I think about it, about how you can feed your kid, how you can't feed your kids, and you're on the brink of homelessness. We need to find a way to solve my problem. Then the message was also sent from Haggiseth. I was thinking of bringing $2,000 to help you out, but let me know if this is something that you're even interested in, because I could still help you out if it is just next week for lunch. I'm so sorry if there was ever any suggestion that you would meet me for free. We're in an arrangement, and I hope that your resourcefulness will be able to help me. Haggiseth said she and James Craig last talked on February 18th, 2023. The defense then began to cross-examine Haggiseth, starting with her relationship with James Craig. Lisa Moses asked her if she would date James Craig in exchange for money or other items, and Haggiseth said an exchange was part of the operation. Haggiseth testified that some of her text exchange with James Craig were intimate. Moses highlighted that James Craig would give Haggiseth compliments and tell her how great she was. Moses said Haggiseth, she asked her if it felt good, to which Haggiseth replied, I'm not sure that it felt good always. Moses then questioned Haggiseth about the attorney James Craig reportedly paid to help in her separation. Haggiseth said James Craig knew she was in the battle for custody after over her children, which she eventually lost. Moses then questioned defense then moved to a meeting between Carrie Haggiseth and Bobby Olson in February 2024. When questioned, Haggiseth said she didn't remember if she told Olson about James Craig's alleged comment about the purge. Moses asserted that Haggiseth did not tell Olson about James Craig's alleged comment about injecting someone in the neck, to which Haggiseth replied, I remember talking about a substance with them. During redirect, the prosecutor showed Haggiseth her full statement of Bobby Olson, which included comments made about an injection and the purge. The jury then asked two questions. The first was when the relationship between James Craig and Haggiseth ended, and the second was whether Haggiseth thought about marrying James Craig. Said their relationship ended on February 18, 2023, and the two discussed getting married in the future. Haggiseth was then excused from the stand. The prosecution then called Jordan Ivy to take the stand. In late 2022, she was living in Colorado, and she was on Seeking.com. Jordan Ivy said she met James Craig on Seeking on October 2022. Their first date was at a restaurant near Union Station. Hope I'm going to make it through this. After several dates, Ivy said she and James Craig took a trip to Montana together. She believed that trip was James Craig's idea, and he paid for the tickets. Ivy testified that Angela texted James Craig that she was upset because he was in Montana. The two stayed in an Airbnb, which James Craig booked. Ivy said James Craig bought her a nice jacket. She said she received an iPhone and monetary gifts via Venmo. Ivy testified to me. It was not very serious. I definitely felt like the relationship was more serious for him than me. She said she got that perception from the excessive texting. The two stopped talking early January of 2023. Ivy said it wasn't a breakup. The relationship just tapered off. Ivy said she was aware that James Craig was married and they would sometimes discuss his marriage during their first date. Ivy said James Craig told her he loved his wife, but things were missing. There were things missing from the relationship. He reportedly mentioned not being happy at home and preparing for a divorce. Ivy said she did not suggest the divorce. During cross, defense attorney Lisa Moses pressed Ivy about a relationship with James Craig, and Ivy confirmed the relationship became sexual, and she described his constant texting as needy. Moses then presents some messages reportedly sent from James Craig to Ivy. Following were sent in a few days of Ivy and James meeting each other in October of 2022. Geez, is this normal to meet someone and start making plans for all of the things you like to do together? I hope this doesn't freak you out. I just feel a strong connection to you. I hope it doesn't weird you out that this is so new, but I'm jumping in with both feet. The defense attorney also brought up these messages sent by James Craig. Is it healthy to be this excited about spending time in the presence of another human? Thank you so much for another magical evening. I can't believe I found you. Please text me when you get home safely so I don't worry. Man, I miss you. Sometimes when I go a long time without seeing you, I miss you more. Moses noted Ivy was not responding in the same tenor as James Craig, but that he persisted with his messages. During their communications, James Craig reportedly mentioned wanting to go to Paris with Ivy in the spring. James Craig also reportedly offered to give Ivy an allowance to buy some things, and that he would not have to explain the credit card charges. Moses brought up how James Craig sent Ivy pictures of his children and a song, and then he allegedly made vague plans to go to New York City. During redirect, the prosecution asked Ivy about the divorce comments made by James Craig to her. Ivy said she didn't tell James Craig to get a divorce. She was then excused from the witness stand. And that's the end for the day. Oh my goodness. I'm going to do the daily and go to bed. I'm falling asleep here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. You bird up crows. Oh my goodness. See. Okay. Good night, guys. I have to go to bed. I can't even keep my eyes open. I love you guys. God bless. Prayers. We'll see you tomorrow. Be good. Just so tired. I'm really tired. I love you guys. God bless.